So here we have some sales data, just some random numbers. I just have dates going through 12 months. We've got 4 products and pretty random numbers here showing sales. And let's go and try to take a better look at this by creating a chart. I'm going to shrink this table a little bit. I'm going to click here on the handle, which will give me the ability to grab and shrink all these columns across, just so I have more room here. And while I have this table selected, the entire table, I'm going to go and create a chart by clicking on Chart and then choosing a simple 2D bar chart. And it will place it right there underneath. I'll move it to the right here. And we could see how it puts it each month grouped together. And you see the 4 colors, blue, green, and then kind of an orange and a red, blue, green, orange, red, each group right there. And by using these colors we can already see some trends. Like for instance, I can see blue seems to be going up, orange a little bit too, green's kind of in the middle, and red seems to be going down. So the colors help us kind of visually pick out trends like this. Now we have a lot of different chart types available to us, and we could easily switch the chart type by going to Format, Chart, and here at the bottom we've got the chart type, and we could switch it to something else. So for instance, let's go to a stacked column rather than a regular column, and what it's going to do is it's going to stack the items on top of each other. So here for January we see the blue, green, orange, and red all stacked on top of each other. And this basically gives us a sum total here of all of them, which is interesting because we never did a sum here in the chart. We could have added a new column here and said the total product sales and then added these 4 columns together for each row. We haven't done that, but the chart is kind of doing that for us, and we could see there is a trend upward for more sales every month. So just by using a different chart type you can get some different visual information. Let's look at some other chart types. We could do a 2D bar, which just turns it on its side there, and they're all grouped together. And we could also do a 2D stacked bar for the same kind of thing we saw before. What would be even more useful is the line, and this puts each column in its own line, and this makes it really clear how things are changing. We can now very clearly see that blue is going up. We could see that green's about even and red's going down. So by using different charts, it pulls information out in a different way and shows it to us. Now if the trend is something you're really interested in, you could actually have trend lines turned on. Go to Format, Series here, and you can turn on trend lines and see the lines for each one. And some are obvious, that the blue trend line goes up and the red trend line goes down. What's interesting is that the green trend line is trending towards up, something we really couldn't see clearly before just by looking at the line for it. And you could change the type of trend line for all sorts of different things. So depending upon how you're crunching your numbers, you may want to choose one of these other things. You can also choose a moving average, which takes into account, in this case 2 periods and the average between them, and smooths out the line. This is really useful when you have lines that are like say this was 365 days worth of sales. So the individual points wouldn't mean much because one Monday compared to another Wednesday really wouldn't be meaningful, but using say a moving average with a period of 7 days would smooth things out and make it a lot easier to see where these sales are headed. So let's turn off the trend lines and concentrate on what we've got here visually. You may not want this look with these big circles here. You can change to some other kind of symbol for each point, or go to none just to concentrate on the line. You could even have curved connection lines for a look like that. You could add the value labels to be something different. So for instance, I could say I want numbers to appear on the chart so you can actually see the individual numbers if you want. You could also go to Axis here and change things. Like I don't like how the months here are really, kind of placed really closely to each other. It's hard to tell what's going on. So we could angle them. We want to go to the X axis here, and we could go and change them to vertical. So maybe right vertical would be better, or we could even do on a diagonal like that. And that's a lot easier to read and see what's going on. I like to see some grid lines here so I could see more easily what month everything is. So you could have these set like that. They could appear that way. Maybe that's a little bit too strong. I could do it kind of as a gray there. And you could see each month go up like that. Maybe having right vertical then makes it even easier to read. You could work with the y-axis as well. So, I could now have 4 steps here. So I can do more steps like that. I could also do more lines. So I can do, there's major grid lines already there, but I can do minor grid lines. So in between, and make those maybe barely visible, just to make it a little easier to read that chart there. Now if you like how this looks, you could save it as a style. So you can go to chart here and you have these different chart styles. If you page over to the last page there, you have the plus button. You can add that, and then you could just add it in there and you have that style. You can then switch maybe to one of these other preset styles. You could see that and say, okay, that's good, but I'd rather go back to my style as I had it before. And then the great thing about having this style here is that if you want to then use it on another sheet or some other table or whatever, here you can easily apply it to that one as well. So if you're working with 3 different charts, you play around with all these different settings for one chart, then you can easily save it as a style and then apply it to those others. Now if you really want to go to something different, you may want to select one of the 3D types. So I've got 2D line now. Let's change that to a 3D line. So I'm not really fundamentally changing how the data is represented. I'm just going from a 2D look to a 3D look. And now you can see I have this 3D chart. I have this circle in the middle that I could click and drag to move the chart around. And you can see not only is it 3D, but each line is actually, some are closer to you than others. The blue is the closest and green after that. So you can actually see around them to see what's in the chart. And this could be just a neat visual effect. You can get it looking just like you want. Maybe emphasizing the newer data by having that forward, or emphasizing the stuff at the top like that. So lots of different ways to make this kind of more interesting. There's even a shadow there. You can see each of the lines is casting a shadow, and I could turn that off if I like. Now let's create another chart. I'm not going to get rid of this one. I'm just going to move it down and out of the way. And I'm going to go back to this table here, and I'm going to click in the last row and say add footer row below and do a sum here. So I'm going to do equals, and I'll do sum and of B there to get the sum. Copy and paste it into these to get the sum of C, D, and E. And now I can choose these 4, and let's create a pie chart from them. So I'll select that. I'll throw a pie chart up here, and you can see it's using the same colors for it, and it shows me a percentage in each pie slice. So let's change these from percentages to the actual numbers. I'll go to wedges here, and what I'll do is change it so that the format isn't percentage but the actual number. There. And then I could also add the data point names, and it's going to take the header information from each column and stick it there. Now in addition, if there's some product that is the most important, I can emphasize that. So I'm going to emphasize product C here. I'm going to select the slice. I want to make sure I can see the points here are the corners of the slice. So I've got a wedge, and I can change the distance from center and bring that out. And then if I wanted to, I could switch the chart type from pie chart to 3D pie. And then I get a nice 3D looking chart here. Maybe I want to emphasize product C there, so I'll have it out like that. I could zoom out on this and arrange these nicely. Like put this in the center there, so this can make a nice printout here, or export it and use it in a presentation or something like that.